If we compare the traditional trampoline with a Springfree trampoline, superficially they may look the same, but I think it's worth looking at the differences between the two to see why one can reduce injury as opposed to the other. Springfree trampolines enable us to have a product that has the potential to reduce perhaps up to 85% of the serious injuries that happen on trampolines. We find about 15–17% happen because there's more than one person on a trampoline at a time and they bump into each other. Now clearly that's something that either needs to be controlled through parental supervision or it's something that we can't do anything about. Other areas that cause concern, one major one is first of all falling off. So we put a net on the trampoline and hopefully we restrain the user inside the trampoline. Under this padding, we've got the springs, the traditional springs, and then at the edge we've got a hard steel frame. An impact with the springs and impact with the frame are going to account for at least a third of the serious injuries that we see. Now in this instance, we've got the padding and it complies with the current safety standards. But it's still possible, if you hit this with your head, you're still going to come out with perhaps a 3% chance of a critical injury and probably a 90% chance of some kind of injury. And indeed, when we get to the frame here, we find that the frame is barely padded at all. So clearly there's going to be serious concern with a head impact onto this frame. Now, whilst this design gives us a net to stop us falling off the trampoline altogether, if we're on the inside of the trampoline and we fall this way, we're still going to possibly fall onto the frame or onto the springs. The net itself, the enclosure here, is held in place by poles which are padded. But again, the level of padding here is the same as the level of padding here, so we've still got the same percentage chances if we hit that with our head for injury. We can see that a user here flying off can still hit the pole quite violently, and the pole doesn't give, it's quite unforgiving. The first thing they address is the net. So we've got a net to stop people falling off, but quite cleverly what they also do is ensure that the net can only be fitted by putting it through the rods. So in the case of this 12-foot trampoline, we've got 90 attachment points for the net, and you can see that there's no way the user can fall out from underneath the net. We've got the soft edge technology so that the edge gives. There's no hard frame there for users to hit. Then there are the poles which hold the enclosure in place. And we can see that they're curved, they're bowed out from the enclosure itself. So the first thing to note is that we're not going to go and hit a hard pole, because even if with force we make contact with the pole gives, and we can see that it gives quite readily. So we're not going to get those injuries associated with hitting the pole.